It's week 2. College football is finally back, and we're finally getting some good games. And these are just some storylines that have caught my eye from this past weekend. First and foremost, Texas is back. The Longhorns are doing the thing. This team is good. It is not just a play good or they might be good. No, this team is good. The offense is looking amazing under Quinn Ewers. And that's what happens when you're a third-year QB in a system. You understand things. You've seen things from afar. There's no defense that surprises you anymore. And right now, they're going into the SEC with confidence on their back. But this team right now, this Texas team is cooking. They look great on offense, and their defense was dominating, especially against Michigan, especially against the defending champs. I'm excited to see what this team does this year. I think that they are right now looking, honestly, in my opinion, the number 1 team in the country. You better watch out, Georgia. Next is Notre Dame. Notre Dame, what are we doing? Coach Freeman, we got to get our team right. That team right now just went into Kyle Field last week and beat Texas A&M in a hostile environment. And you guys lose to Northern Illinois? Imagine paying a team $1.4 million for them to come into your house, first home game of the season, and y'all lose to them. That is crazy, right? And this team, this Notre Dame team has always been one of those things that you just never know what you're going to get every year. Are they going to be the Notre Dame team that's going to go through the gauntlet and be a top 5 team in the nation, or are they going to lose 1 or 2 games that they should have lost? But this one right here, this was I cannot understand how bad this loss was after winning, coming off such a high from beating Texas A&M last week. Coach Freeman, we got to get those guys right, and we have to have a good season this year. Miami is looking great. That's what I've been saying this whole year, right? We have Cam Ward. This is what they've needed for so long on this team. Miami's always been one player away, one quarterback away from being a decent team. And when they have a good QB, they're usually good. The ACC isn't the best this year. So honestly, this division and this conference is up for grabs. I'm looking at Miami right now being the front runners to win that conference and really take it to Clemson and really snatch back the glory of what they've had in the early 90s, early 2000s. Because right now, Miami's playing great. Defense is humming. Receivers is looking good. And like I said, I can't give Cam Ward any more praise for what he's been doing these last 2 weeks over there in Miami. Next, we're going to talk about Colorado. Coach Prime. I'm not going to beat on a dead horse. This offensive line is bad. I was expecting it to be so much better after getting the number 1 offensive tackle in the country and then getting some new players in the transfer portal. But this offensive line is not giving Shedeur Sanders what he needs to be successful. They're not physical enough both on the offensive line and the defensive line, and they're getting beat in big games. North Dakota State already exposed them already in game 1, and they barely came out of that game squeaking alive. But Nebraska, they just put it to them what they should have. That is a championship program, what Matt Rule is doing over there in Nebraska. But Coach Prime, we have to figure out a culture identity with Colorado because I think the flashiness right now is overshadowing what this team really needs to be. And to contend in the Big 12, they're going to need to be more physical. So you tell me, what are we going to change this next week coming into conference play? Because right now, I don't want to see any more Shedeur time. I'm trying to see winning. And lastly, Alabama struggled. This was the first test for the new Kalen DeBoer Alabama offense and Alabama team in general. They named the field after Nick Saban, but USF did not care. They came into that game with a chip on their shoulders, wanting to give them the scare that they did last year. And honestly, for 3/4 of the game, that's what they did. USF played hard. They played tough. They were bringing the blitz. They were getting Jalen Milroe off his spot. But even at the end of the day, the penalties are what killed Alabama. They had a lot of big runs, big touchdowns that were called off the board by just silly ticky-tacky penalties that could have been averted. I'm looking at Alabama. I like the way they came back at the end of the 4th quarter, putting up 28 points to finish off USF. But at the end of the day, I like they've seen adversity early and were able to claw back. I expect this Alabama team to come back next week and be ready to play and just have a great season. You tell me, what were your thoughts on the second week of the college football season and who's going to make the 12-team playoffs in your opinion? Drop some comments below.